Hey guys, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. This is try number 2 for this video, so I'm really hopeful that you guys can hear me okay and see me okay. So please be sure to comment and we'll jump right back into this tutorial. Let me get over here on my channel and see if I can see your guys' comments, see how it looks. I'm so sorry for the internet issues. I always hate when this happens because it is really not a good feeling. Let's see if you guys can hear me okay and see me okay over here. It says 3 people are watching, so I'll give you guys a second to comment because for some reason it says my other video is still live, and clearly I am not still live over there, so I don't know what's happening. Hey Dee, I'm glad you can see me. Can you guys hear me okay? I turned my microphone settings up a little bit louder this time. Hopefully that will make it a little bit easier. Good, good, good. Nancy said that's good. Trish says better. Good, and Jill said it's better too. Okay, good, great. Well, I don't know how much time we're gonna have. We're gonna do the best that we can with this tutorial, and I wanna let you guys know if we continue having issues. I was just talking with my husband. I will probably do a makeup live maybe like tomorrow, because technology is just really difficult sometimes, you know? We do the best that we can, and we try to work through it, but if we have to do a backup live tomorrow, we will do that. Good, good, good. Okay, so since we are starting this stream over, I'm sorry if this is a little bit repetitive, but I do want to go ahead and repeat the, I am going to go ahead and repeat the screen capture part of this tutorial. So let me go ahead and talk through that really quick. I'll start it, and then we'll get into the part that we missed last time. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to make a t-shirt using heat transfer vinyl or HTV, also known as iron-on, using a Cricut machine. And we are going super low level beginner because I want to make sure that everybody is on board with this. Now, these materials did come from the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box, which is the mystery box that I just did with 143 vinyl, like, oh gosh, the week before last, I think. On Friday, we launched it, and it's been so much fun. No, it was this past Friday. It's only been a week from today, but it was so much fun, and that's the materials that we're going to be using. But I did link everything down in the description below, so if you did not get a Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box and you still want to craft along, I have all the materials for this project linked down there if you want to see them. Oh, good. Oh, yay. You guys, that makes me so happy. I'm so glad that it's much better. Yeah, Phil, honestly, it's really stressful when your technology starts freaking out, and I don't have an IT department. I am the IT department, but I have to give a shout out to my husband. He's watching this in the other room, ready and waiting to help. Thank God for helpful husbands that are craft loving and supportive. My husband is not crafty per se, but he's pretty creative and he's super helpful and supportive. So when I go to him panicking about my technology, he is always there for me and always has my back. So thanks, Drew, for all your help and getting me up and running again. Okay, so the reason that I did a screen capture portion of this tutorial is because, like I said, we are going beginner level here. So what I did is I screen captured when I created my file for this t-shirt, and then we're actually gonna cut it live together. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that screen capture, and my microphone right here is going to be muted, so you're just gonna hear the pre-recorded audio, but I can still talk to you through the comments. So if you have any questions or if you have any issues, let me know via the comments because I can still talk to you that way, okay? Give me just a second to play that, and then after we get back, we'll continue with this project. So to get started with your t-shirt, you're either going to need an image from within Cricut Design Space or some kind of external image that you've uploaded. I'm going to be using an SVG type file from my Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box for this project today, so that's what I'm going to be working with. But if you didn't get the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box, you can also upload your own SVGs or find your own images here in the Cricut Access Images library. So since I've previously already uploaded this to my account, I'm just going to go into my uploads and choose this Bless This Hot Mess because that's just the truth. And then we're going to click the green Add to Canvas button to get this to show up on our canvas. Now, I could pretty much cut it just like this. All I would have to do is attach everything, but I want to work with a couple of different colors. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this image selected, and I know that it's selected because it has this bounding box all the way around it, along with the quick edit icons on the corners. Once it's selected, I'm going to go up to Ungroup so that I can work with each of these layers individually. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create an offset around this hot mess color, because I'm going to be using the hot mess words in a printed pattern HTV. And in order to give it some contrast behind it, I want to add another color using an offset. So in order to add an offset, I'm going to go ahead and select what I want to use, and then I'm actually going to change the color because the default offset is always black. So if your text is already black, it's pretty hard to see. So I'm going to go over to Operation and change it just to this light purple, just so that we can see it. So then to do the offset, again, I'm going to select these words and go up to Offset. And then by default, it always starts your offset at 1/4 inch or 0.25 inches. I usually think that's a little bit thick. So I'm going to decrease my offset to 0.15 inches and then choose Apply. And then it's going to look something like this. I can see what it's going to look like because of this blue outline. And once I like it, I'm going to go ahead and click Apply. Then we have the offset behind it. Then I'm going to start working with the rest of the image. So what I want to do is actually I'm going to select both of these middle hot mess layers, the offset as well as the letters, and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit because it made it a little bit uneven after I added the offset. And now that I like where it looks in the middle, I am going to make the Bless This line and the heart the same color. So I'm going to click Bless This to select it. Then I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and click on the heart layer. And once they're both selected at the same time, I'm going to choose Attach. And that way they're going to cut on the mat together so that I know that my spacing is exactly right. Then I'm going to go up under Operation and change the color to white because I want to cut that out of white HTV or iron-on. Iron-on, heat transfer vinyl, and HTV are all the same thing, and that's the material that we're going to be using on our shirt today. Then just to make sure that I cut all the other colors in the correct HTV and I don't accidentally mess it up, I'm going to change the colors to coordinate with the HTV that I have. So I'm going to select the Bless This Hot Mess layer, just the offset, and I'm going to make that a light gray because that's the color that I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to choose the hot mess layer, and I'm actually going to change it back to its original black because I'm going to be cutting this out of some cow print pattern HTV, and it's just so stinking cute. But this way I can keep track of everything and make sure that I cut it out of the right colors. Then I need to make sure that I size it for my shirt. So I'm going to click and hold down my mouse and then drag around all of the layers to select everything at once. And I'm going to go up to the edit bar at the top of the screen and make the width of this image about 10 inches. That's the size that I like to do for like medium to large size shirts. I usually think that 10 inches is a pretty good width. And then that makes the height an automatic like 7 inches. And I think that's going to look just fine. So once we have everything sized the way we want it and the correct colors and all that good stuff, next we can click the green Make It button to proceed to the prepare screen. And because I have a Cricut Maker 3, it's going to ask me whether I'm working without a mat for Smart Materials or on a mat for everything else. I'm not using Smart Materials today, so I'm going to choose on a mat and then choose Done. So then you can see that we have all of our different colors in on different mats. And that's how Cricut Design Space is always going to separate your mats, is by color. So now I need to go ahead and prepare each of these mats accordingly. So generally, whenever you're working with iron-on or heat transfer vinyl, you are always going to mirror it. So where you have to click the mirror button down at the bottom of each individual mat. That way we can cut it with the shiny side down and actually cut into the back side of the heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to follow that step for the Bless This layer or mat, and also for the hot mess layer, because we're going to be cutting that out of gray Starcraft Softflex, and this one is going to be cut out of white Starcraft Softflex. Now, the tricky thing is when you work with pattern HTV, like I'm going to be doing with this layer, you actually do not mirror it because it does not have a carrier sheet on the front of it when it comes from 143 vinyl. So you're just going to cut into it with a pretty side up, which means you do not mirror it. Then after you have all of your mats prepared the way that you want them, you click the green Continue button. And then once my Cricut Maker 3 connects to my computer, next we can choose our cut settings. For Starcraft Softflex HTV and for printed pattern HTV, I like to use the everyday iron-on setting. So that's a setting that I'm going to choose for all 3 mats. And because I don't want to have to come back each time and change my cut setting, I'm going to check the Remember Material Settings button right here. And that will keep it going through all of my mats. Now we can hop over to my Cricut Maker 3 and I'll show you how to cut all this HTV, weed it, and apply it to your shirt. All right, guys, how's that? I want to let me know that you can hear me okay and see me okay again now that the recording is over. And I hope that that helped give some of you who are beginners a little bit of context for how this project works. Now, I know there's a little bit of lag in the video, so you guys are still watching me on the screen capture, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started so that we can hopefully make it through this project. So the first thing I'm gonna do, actually, let me take you overhead first. Just a second. Nope. Oh, goodness, y'all. Technology is just, we're a hot mess today. Nope. There we go. I'm gonna get this, guys. Hold on just a second. There we go. Make me small and make the screen a little bit bigger. That always works out a lot better. So we're gonna start by cutting this on my Cricut, and I'm gonna be using a Cricut Maker 3, but any Cricut machine on the market can do this just fine, no problem. So any Cricut machine that you have is totally fine. Good deal. Kathy said, can I use a different pattern HTV for the project for the contest? So for the contest, which we'll talk about at the end of the video, there is a giveaway for those of you who got the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box. So I'll explain all the details at the end. As long as you're using HTV from the box, that can enter you in the contest. Now, ideally, you would also use one of the SVG files, but you don't have to necessarily use an SVG file. It's more important that you use the materials from the box. So you could use any of the colors of the Softflex, any of the pattern HTV, and whatever combination you would like. Oh, thanks, Pamela. I know, Candace, sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle bus. And you guys should have gotten 4 different files with the t-shirt, in the t-shirt folder. So you have 4 different options if you got the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box. And yeah, so we'll talk about the contest at the end. But first, let's cut this HTV so that we can get moving here. So I'm gonna use a green standard grit mat for this project. You can also use a light blue light grit mat though, and that would be fine also. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove my clear carrier sheet and set it aside. And now we are gonna start with the white HTV. Now, the way that you cut heat transfer vinyl is that you generally, whenever it has a carrier sheet on the front, you are going to cut it with the shiny side down. So you can kind of see the difference in the light there. That's the shiny side, and this is not the shiny side. So it kind of looks like there's a little bit of a shine in the camera, but in person, it's pretty clear that the shiny side is significantly more shiny. And we put that facing down on the mat, which is also why we mirror regular HTV. So that shiny side is actually a carrier sheet, which is basically like transfer tape. And that is what we are going to use to transfer the design from the mat onto our actual shirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my mat underneath the rollers and give it a little bit of pressure from the bottom here. I know you guys can't see my hand, but I'm gonna press the blinking arrow button. And then because I have a Cricut Maker 3, it's actually going to measure my mat. So we're gonna let it do that for just a second. And then when the middle button flashes, we'll begin cutting. And we'll repeat this process for all 3 of our mats, except the printed pattern does work a little bit differently. So that's why I want to show you what that looks like, because it is a little bit different if you've never used it before. And sorry if you can hear my Cricut really loud in the microphone. Hopefully it's not too loud. That's why I've got a lapel microphone right here on my shirt. And I'm sad that I have to wrinkle my shirt up because this is a cool shirt. It says Gryffindor Quidditch. If you guys are Harry Potter fans, then you understand. I was excited about this shirt. I actually didn't make it. I bought it at Kohl's, but I was really excited about it. So I wore it today. And I feel like this bless this hot mess is even more relevant today than any day. Also, for those of you who celebrate Easter, happy Good Friday. As you guys may or may not know, this is Good Friday of Holy Week. So it's a really significant day here for those of us who celebrate Easter and who are Christians. So happy Good Friday. I'll be taken off this evening. My husband and I are going to a Good Friday service at church. So that's what I'll be doing after this live. I didn't expect it to start quite as late as it did, but that's okay. We'll make it work. That's what we do. Alrighty. So once this is finished cutting, we'll go ahead and unload it using the blinking arrow button. And then we're actually going to flip it over, and I'm going to remove my HTV from my mat this way. Or I guess I'm going to remove the mat from the HTV, not vice versa. That way it doesn't get all wrinkled up. And then I'm going to put my next color on it. I'm going to check on my Cricut Design Space. Can you guys still hear me? I haven't seen any comments in just a second. I've got a little bit of PTSD from our last experience. Hey, Candace, there you are. Dee said you've been giving me credit for making my shirt. Though we definitely could. I did not make this one. Oh, yes, great point. Renee also brings up that it's Passover. So happy Passover to those of you who celebrate Passover. If you are Jewish, and I even know some Christians who celebrate a lot of the Jewish holidays, since we are like, I don't know what you would call like sister religions, since Christianity came from Judaism. I know several people in my Bible study especially that celebrate both. All right, so now we're going to insert this mat into our machine, again with our shiny side down on the mat, the dull side facing up. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Yes, you guys really are the best. So thank you so much for being so patient and responsive. I know that sometimes it's frustrating to watch these things and how they take forever sometimes. So thank you for bearing with me, because it can be such a pain. It's a pain to watch, and also it's a pain to deal with. Honestly, it just feels really helpless. You know, when your internet goes out, or sometimes it's hard to know whether it's like a YouTube issue, or is it my software that I use for live streaming? Is it an internet issue with my internet? Is it, the internet in my whole neighborhood? Is it just here at my house? It's super hard to troubleshoot. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So let me talk a little bit about these patterns and why I chose them. So this is one of the new patterns from the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box. It's called Milk Cow, which I think is super fun. And the reason that I chose this one, even though we are using a really thin font, is because this is a pretty dense pattern. So even cutting the letters really, really thin, you're still going to be able to see a good chunk of this pattern. But I am absolutely paranoid about making sure that we have enough contrast. So that's why we did an offset using the gray, because you have to have really solid contrast behind your patterns. Otherwise, they're really, really tough to see. Oh, that's cool, Renee. She said we do both. I'm doing Passover tomorrow and Easter on Sunday. Lots of cooking to do. Absolutely it is. Oh, thanks, Roseanne. You are worth waiting for. You guys are literally the sweetest. I know, Candace, and I think it might be a YouTube issue as well, because my other video says I'm still live, and that's impossible. So I don't know what's happening there, but I commented on that one and tried to tell people who were still there that we are over here now. Okay, so now let's talk about printed patterns and figuring out how to put all this on the mat. So what I usually like to do is I like to look at Cricut Design Space, and I'll kind of hover my mat over top of, or hover my mouse over top of the mat preview and see how big my design is. So my design is just over 3 inches high, and it goes most of the width of the mat. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to measure on my self-healing mat 4 inches. So, excuse me, I usually like to increase or round up 1 inch when I'm doing stuff like this, so that I don't cut off of my mat, or I don't cut off of my HTV. So I know you guys can't see the bottom of my self-healing mat, but I'm just measuring on the grids 4 inches. And I'm going to make a little cut so that I know exactly where to cut. And then I'm going to trim a line all the way across. And that will give me my 4-inch little slice. And then again, so when you're doing printed pattern HTV, always remember that you need the pretty side facing up at you, because printed pattern HTV from 143 vinyl does not have a carrier sheet. So we cut this just like regular adhesive vinyl, just like this. Okay, so then we have this laying on here. We make sure that we have the correct mat selected so we don't cut the wrong thing. And then we're gonna click the flashing arrow button and just follow the same procedure for cutting it. I know, I am really loving this cow print. I also have a theory on this one with this particular design. I think it may look a little bit more like, almost like leopard spotted, because the letters are gonna be so thin. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell that it's a cow print or if it's just gonna look like a multicolored design. And either way, I think it's gonna look really good. So I'm super excited. Yes, D, yay for us left-handers, that's right. Kristen said, one trick I do to check for contrast as I upload an image of the pattern to Design Space, briefly change it to print, then cut, and put the pattern as fill. Kristen, that is genius. I love that idea. I absolutely love that. Oh my gosh, of course, Kathy. I definitely want to hang out with you guys, and I promised you that I would. And honestly, like, going live with you guys is one of my favorite parts of my job. There's a lot of things about my job that I love, but going live with you guys is one of my absolute favorites. So unless I absolutely would have to skip out, I definitely would not. And even if we did, I'd make up another date. We would definitely find a way to get together again. Yeah, that's what I think, Dee. She said it looks like a snow leopard. I kind of have a feeling that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so now that we have this done, I'm actually going to scoot my Cricut back a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and, yep, it's a little bit tough to see. It's always a little tough to see printed patterns, but that's okay. We will make it work. What I think I'm actually going to do before we begin weeding everything is I'm going to make a little switcheroo for my heat press. So I told you guys at the beginning of the other live that I was going to have to do some goofy stuff. And one of the goofy things I'm going to have to do is move my Cricut off the table and put my heat press on the table. That way there's not too much on my power strip and we don't blow a fuse, because that would be really sad. So I'm going to do that really quick. Oh, Kathy said I was asking about the pattern vinyl we use because I did get another piece of pattern vinyl with my 143 order, so I was thinking about using that if I can. Yeah, Kathy, I think it will be more obvious that you're entering the contest if you use the patterns and the colors from the box. But I mean, I think as long as you meet all the requirements of making your post public, putting hashtag DIY Alex and hashtag 143 vinyl, I would think that would still count. I would definitely use it. If you're going to do that, I would definitely use an SVG file from the box just in case. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my microphone off for just a second, so give me a minute. I apologize if there's any funky noise. I'm going to add the heat press onto the table and move some stuff around, and then we'll continue, okay? So give me just a hot second. I'm going to go ahead. I'll switch us back to this view for now while I move things around. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. That was probably so loud. Hold on. Alrighty. I actually, how much can you guys see? I don't think that's, well, okay, hold on. Gotta figure all this out. So I'm using the new silver 8-in-1 heat press, which I think is going to be super cool. Clearance on both sides. Okay. Alrighty, guys. I gotta move my computer so you guys can see. I think because I can see your comments from on my iPad, I'm actually gonna move my computer all together. we are in business. Now you guys have a really great view of the new heat press. So I'm going to go ahead and, before it's hot, I'm going to do all the adjusting really quick. Ooh, yeah, crispy Snickers. I don't know what I was about to say, but I was about to jumble up my words. Wants to know, can you show us your tier tray when you have a chance? Yes, I can. Probably not in this video, but I will keep that in mind for future ones, or at least I'll post a picture. Kathy says, I need a bigger crafting table, Drew. This one is actually from IKEA, and it's actually the biggest sit-stand. I think that'll be good. It's like the biggest standing desk, or yeah, I think that's what you call it. Stand desk from IKEA. Now we're going to go a little bit harder on the pressure. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and set this one on the little bit lower side. My t-shirt actually has, it's like 50% cotton and 50% modal, which is, I believe it's like it's not a type of cotton, but it's like another, it's another really soft, really breathable fabric. So I'm going to set my heat press. We're going to really, really hope that we don't blow a fuse here. I'm going to set my heat press to 285 because Softflex applies at 285. Actually, we're going to go 290. That's what we're going to do. 15 seconds. So I've got my heat press set to 290 degrees for 15 seconds. And the reason I did 290 is because when you guys look at the cutter settings document with 143, the printed pattern, I believe, is still listed as between 285 and 305. And since Starcraft Softflex applies at 285, I wanted to not go too much higher than that. And what I was saying about the modal is that I didn't want to scorch the material. So I'm going to stay as low of a temperature as I can when I apply this to my shirt. So I always like to cut off the excess HTV so that I don't use any more than I have to. In this case, we're going to waste a little bit here in the middle because of the way that this SVG, or because of the way that I attached it. You don't have to do it that way where there's a big middle space, but I prefer to go ahead and just use up the HTV and keep my spacing correct because I don't like to overthink that. So I do it that way regardless, but technically you could separate the bless, this, and the heart, and you could put them closer together if you wanted to, so that you didn't have to deal with that. Okay. Thanks, Dee. So this is the new 8-in-1 Starcraft Silver heat press, and I wanted to show it to you guys because I don't think I've used it here in a video on YouTube. I have used it on Instagram, but yeah, I wanted to show you guys how it works, and I checked today, and it's actually in stock. So what I really like, we'll get to back to this in just a second, but what I really like about this heat press is that it's very much like, you can think of it like a craft press. So this is not the press for you if you have like a t-shirt business and you're making tons of shirts and stuff like that. This is probably not the press for you. But if you're just like a hobby crafter who presses things every once in a while, it also comes with sublimation attachments. So you want to get into sublimation at this point. This is a super cool heat press to add into your craft space. It's a little bit smaller than the other Starcraft presses as well, which I think is super helpful. So I do have it linked in the description if you want to check it out. And currently today on April 15th, 2022, it is in stock. So, and that's kind of hard to find with the Starcraft presses. So keep that in mind. I also love my Easy Press as well. And I have the Starcraft Mint heat press. So I have all the heat presses. Aw, reading all your comments. Is it Cindy? So you would actually just use the same time and temperature on the Easy Press as you would on the heat press. So if you're doing a combination of Softflex and pattern HTV, then I recommend 290 degrees for 15 seconds. I know it looks huge, but it's actually 12 by 15, where the other ones are actually, they are actually 15 by 15. So it's actually a little bit smaller. All right, so let's get to the weeding and then I'll explain all the other stuff that I have. We'll go ahead and weed the pattern first. Now, pattern HTV can be super tricky to see. So I usually like to use overhead light. Now, a lot of people will pull out like a bright pad or a tracing pad or something in order to weed their pattern vinyl, but I like overhead light better. So what I like to do is turn on more lights in my craft room or add an extra lamp. Something that I've also done, which is super, like I feel super silly when I do it, but it works really well, is I like to use a headlamp, like when you are camping. Those work really, really well for adding some extra light if you have trouble seeing when you weed. So there's a little pro tip for you. Oh, this is turning out so cute, and it totally looks like a snow leopard. Probably can't really tell that it's cow print, but it's going to be super duper cute anyways. Because if you guys already know my other patterns, you know that I have tons of leopard print because I love leopard print. Love it, love it, love it. So regardless, whether it's cow print that looks like a leopard or it's just regular leopard print, I love it. And I love cow print too. So super cute. So there's our hot mess words, and already from the angle of this video, you can see why we need an offset. Because though you can see it when it gets a little bit closer, it's from far away, it's really hard to see what it says. So this is exactly why we use an offset. Oh no! Liz Leah says, dang, I missed everything. Hey, it's totally okay because when this live stream ends, it's going to start over from the beginning and you'll be able to watch the whole thing. So even if you miss the beginning, when the stream ends, you can start it back over and rewatch. Okay, so here's the next thing that you need to know about printed pattern HTV. And guys, this is 100% my fault. I forgot to suggest that we add any heat transfer mask into your box. So I'll just go ahead and apologize now. We should have added this into your box. So what you can do, heat transfer mask is either sold in individual sheets like this, or you can also use the carrier sheets from your other pieces of HTV. So if you don't have any heat transfer mask and you need to grab some, just go ahead and save the clear sheet from over top your other pieces of HTV, and you can use those for pattern HTV. So I'm sorry, that was an Alex mistake that I should have corrected. Oh, okay. We're at outlet temperature. That's what the heat press is letting me know. So when you're looking at heat transfer mask, essentially what this is just heat resistant transfer tape. That's all it is. You can't use regular transfer tape because regular transfer tape will melt under the heat of the heat press. So we're going to apply this just like we would with regular transfer tape. So I've cut a piece down to size that's going to match my HTV. Then I'm going to apply it over the top, just like I would with transfer tape. Try not to get any bubbles or anything in it. And that's okay. We actually missed the outside of the little S there, but that's okay. It's no problem at all. You guys can see that. Hopefully that helps a little bit. So the little S is sticking out, but that's okay. We got the rest of the design covered with heat transfer mask. Then we're going to use a squeegee, just like we would with regular transfer tape, to burnish it or apply pressure to it. We want to do this really well in all directions. And then what we'll do is flip it over and remove the backing. And once we remove the backing, then this is basically just a regular piece of HTV. It has a carrier sheet to move around on it and everything. So I know that sometimes printed patterns can seem intimidating when you're really new to crafting with your Cricut, but honestly, it's super easy to do. And once you realize that it's just exactly like adhesive vinyl, it's no problem at all. There we go. So now we've got our printed pattern HTV all ready to go. And now all we need to do is weed our other pieces. Yeah, Dawn, the headlamp works really, really well, even though it's like kind of silly. Let's see. Krista says, it's an awesome press and seems huge when you switch from only the 9x9 Easy Press too. I'm sure it does. Should have made the switch a while ago, but I'm happy I waited because you love the new Starcraft 8-in-1. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I have not experimented too much with the attachments yet, but I am really excited to experiment with those because when I worked at 143, in case you guys did not know, once upon a time, I worked at 143 and did a bunch of the live videos. I worked a lot with the turquoise and the mint Starcraft heat presses because this silver 8-in-1 did not exist yet. And so I worked a lot with those and I'm really familiar with those attachments, but I need to spend some time getting familiar with the with the attachments on this press because I think they're going to be super awesome. Oh, did I pronounce it wrong? I'm sorry. I think I said Lisa Leah. Now I'm overthinking it. Kristen says you can reuse the transfer mask, right? Yes, you absolutely can. You can use it multiple times. As it's just like any other transfer tape. You want to try not to get it too dirty. As long as it stays clean, it will be nice and sticky for you. So you can use it multiple times, really just until it has trouble picking up the HTV. So that makes it super easy. Let's see, do we have a center of that E? I don't think we do. So here is what our offset is going to look like, and I'll show you what the cow print is going to look like over top of it. Oh my gosh, look how cute. Ugh, you guys, I'm so excited. I can see it really well in person, but I wonder on camera if it's really gonna pick up. And I have like a, I don't know what you call this color. It's like a reddish color, but it's kind of almost like a terracotta red. Does that make sense? So hopefully that contrast will help us read it even better. But printed pattern is honestly super tricky picking out the designs. Hey Terry, welcome. Hey Chip Builds, everyone say hi to Ashley. Ashley is the crafter behind Chip Builds. She said, I love how the mint press looks. I do too. And I could not get rid of, oh, I'm sorry, probably just smacked my microphone. I could not get rid of the mint heat press. My husband, normally he doesn't really care what I bring into the house for crafting because it's my job and he knows that I'm going to buy whatever I want. But when I brought home this heat press, he was like, dude, that is like your third heat press. What are you going to do with that? Because I already own the Starcraft Mint one, and I also have an Easy Press. And actually, I have a mini Easy Press too, but we won't talk about that. And I was like, well, I can't, I'm sorry, but I can't part with my Mint Heat Press. I can't do it. So my Mint Heat Press is currently in my closet because I'm playing with this one right now. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with all the things, where I'm going to put all the things. Oh, so many decisions, so many decisions. All right, and I'm so sorry, I just breezed right through weeding. If you are new, I am using my pin pen from 143 Vinyl to weed. This is my absolute favorite weeding tool because it looks like it's a regular pen in a regular body, but it actually has a stainless steel tip needle in there, so it makes weeding super, super easy, but it also is super sharp. So you do want to be very careful if you use it, especially if you are accident prone. It can definitely poke you. If it falls off the table, be sure to move your feet back because that is just not a very good time. All right, and where did I put that other one? Okay, so here's what our design looks like when we put it all together, which is so perfect. Love it. I think it's gonna be so cute. Yes, it looks so good. This is gonna look great on our shirt. Let me move it up so you guys can see the whole deal. There we go. So that's what it looks like. Oh, cool. Yes, Kathy, you will definitely need to get a shirt. Oh, Terry said you've had issues with offset. I wonder why. You know, I think some of that has to do with the fact that it's beta in Design Space. It's probably just not fully worked out because it's always worked like really well for me, but I think that it just depends on your Design Space. I agree, Florida Sunshine. I love my pin pen too. Love it, love it. Okay, so that's all the weeding that's required, and now we all have, oh my gosh, sorry y'all, words. Now, all we have to do is apply it. So I'm gonna switch you back up to our, no I'm not. I'm going to show you how I put it on the shirt first. So I always like to stack all of my layers on top of each other on the design so I can see what it's going to look like. I just think that really helps me visualize it and really helps me place it on the shirt. So next what we're gonna do is we are going to lay the shirt out, but this one is pretty wrinkly, so I normally don't pre-press, but I think I am gonna go ahead and pre-press in this case because I wanna get some of these wrinkles out. So we'll go ahead and put the shirt on there. And another cool thing is that this one has a removable pad on the bottom. So what I have been doing if I'm unsure about putting my fingers under there is just laying it out on the gray pad first and then slipping the gray pad back onto the platen instead of being unsure if I'm gonna burn myself. And once I just line it up really nicely, then I can swing the press back over and just press for a few seconds. I'm going to try to pull it tight so that I don't press any wrinkles into it because that's never fun. That's like reason number 495 why I hate ironing, because I always iron a lot more wrinkles in usually than I get out. That is not my talent. Okay. So now that I have this pre-pressed, I didn't even really count. I think it was maybe 7 seconds that I pressed this, but that is just to get the wrinkles away from the design area. Oh yes, I love the pin pen too. Pamela said, can we use the design but alter it or add to it for the contest? Sure, go for it. I think that'll be super fun. Cindy said, I've needle poked my finger more times than I can remember, but I refuse to not use my pin pen. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Awesome. Oh yeah, this one is from Target. The brand is A New Day, and it's got like a kind of a funky neck to it. Let me put you guys back overhead for a few minutes while we line this design up. So it's got kind of like a funky, it's like a V-neck, but also kind of a scoop neck, a little bit of both. And I thought this shape was kind of cool because I hadn't seen that before. So I picked it up a few months ago at Target. I don't know if it's still available or not. I picked it up in a couple different colors actually, and you can kind of see that it created a box around the whole thing. That should go away, but the modal is a little bit temperamental when it comes to being heated. So when it comes to temperatures of shirts, or excuse me, oh my gosh, y'all, temperatures of shirts, I mean a fabric of shirts, you are pretty much always safe with cotton polyester and cotton polyester blends. Those are always going to be fine. When you start getting outside of it, you do kind of want to be careful because it can get a little bit crazy with different fabric types and making sure that they do okay under high heat and stuff like that. They can do things like scorch, where like a box like this may never go away. So you do have to be careful. But that's just something to keep in mind. So cotton, polyester, and any blend of cotton and polyester is always fine. But when you start getting outside of that into like spandex, modal, jersey, well actually jersey I think is just cotton, so jersey should be fine. But anything that's outside of like the cotton and polyester family, you do want to be a little more cautious about. And if you are going to use that stuff, then you definitely want to use a lower temperature HTV such as Softflex, because it applies at 285 and that is like super reasonable, because the lower temperature obviously, the lower likelihood that you're going to scorch it. Okay, so once I have this all laid out, since this is like a scoop neck, I'm just gonna do maybe 1.5 inches below the scoop neck, whereas normally I would do a 3-finger, 3-inch distance below the neck in my design. But since this one already goes kind of low, I'm just gonna do like 1.5 inches. And whenever I line up my designs, what I normally like to do is I like to line everything up kind of the way that I'm going to press it on the shirt. So I'm just trying to make sure that these edges are even with this so that one side's not sticking out more than the other. And one trick that I like to do that really helps me line it up is I take the non-sticky sides, so this side, and I like to fold it edge to edge and put a crease in the middle so that I know where the center of my design is. So I'm just lining up these two edges here. And then I'm gonna kind of press it into the carrier sheet. This won't hurt the HTV or anything. You're just pressing it into the carrier sheet so that you have like a center line to go by when you line it up with the center of the shirt. So that can be super helpful. Okay. So then when we line it up, like I said, since this neck is a little bit lower, I'm gonna go maybe 1.5 inches or so. And I am comfortable just eyeballing it. That does not bother me. But you can measure things if you are like super OCD. You know what? I actually have a tool that I can show you guys. Hang on. I'm not gonna use it today because I'm not using a shirt that's going to work well with it. But they make these really cool t-shirt rulers, in case you guys have never seen these. So this has to be used with a round scoop neck, obviously. So a neck that's like a unique shape or a V-neck, you'll need a different set. But this is a t-shirt ruler that you could line up underneath the collar of your shirt, and it gives you a center, and it also shows you 3 inches below the collar, so you know exactly where to line up that center line on your HTV. So that's something to think about if you are newer and you're not comfortable eyeballing. This set in particular that I bought has an adult size, a youth size, a toddler size, and an infant size. So that's a super cool tool if you are newer to shirts and you want to grab that. I got mine from Amazon. I have it in my Amazon store, and I have my Amazon store linked in the description of this video if you want to see the exact one that I have. Kathy said, so no rayon. Correct, Kathy. I would not risk rayon because it most likely will scorch. Dawn said, I married a sailor, and for 26 years, I've never had to iron anything. I believe that because I'm sure he's great at ironing his uniforms. Awesome. Okay, so once I have the entire design placed on the shirt, what I like to do next is peel all the layers away except for this last layer. And this last layer is important because we have to have this in place in order to properly line up the hot mess. So that's why I'm gonna do this white layer first. I'm just gonna peel both of these carrier sheets away. They're already stuck together. And I have blessed this right where I want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull off my little gray piece. I'll go ahead and put you guys back on the front view. I think that's gonna be an easier way to see. Actually, nope, hold on. We're gonna do our fancy technology thing so that you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. That way you can see it overhead also. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this underneath the shirt. And ideally, when you line this up, you're also going to not have any seams on that collar. So because HTV already has a sticky carrier sheet, it's gonna stay in place where we want it. So we can go ahead and move this shirt so that there's no other seams of the shirt on this gray pad that's gonna go on the platen. And that's gonna help us to ensure that the press is a little more even. So that's why we do it this way. We also don't need to give it the full time and temperature. We're just going to give it a 5-second press. I guess we are still using the full temperature. So we're gonna use 290, but we're only gonna press it for 5 seconds because all we need to do is tack it. Then when we get to the final layer, then we'll go ahead and press for the full 15 seconds. I'm also gonna put a Teflon sheet over top of my HTV. I think that really helps for making sure that the heat is evenly distributed, and I just in general think it's a good idea, especially because in this layer, with this layer, we still have a carrier sheet over top of everything, so it's not as big of a deal. But when we start peeling off the carrier sheet, what can happen is the HTV can actually get stuck to your carrier sheet, and it is not a fun time. Or excuse me, the HTV can get stuck to the heat press, and trust me, it's not a fun time. So if you have a Teflon sheet or a piece of parchment paper over top of it, then you'll prevent it from getting on your heat press and having to clean off your press. So when I said you can save the carrier sheets from your HTV, this would be a great piece to save for a piece of printed pattern. And so all you need to do is either stick it back on a backing if you have one. Some people will like stack it up, like they'll stick it to their heat press. So I will probably stick mine to the backing of this, whoops, I dropped a couple of sheets of HTV, but that's okay. I'm gonna stick mine to the back of this heat transfer mask so that I can find it again. And that way I don't have to worry about it getting dirty, because it getting dirty is gonna make it a lot less sticky. So I'll hang on to that. So the next thing we need to do is layer our offset layer. So we have the gray layer and the cow layer. And the reason that we can't do those together is because there are 2 separate carrier sheets. So if we press them just like this, then we would press the cow print onto the carrier sheet of the gray. And of course we don't want that. So we're gonna peel off that cow layer on the top. And we're now just gonna tack the gray offset layer. Oh good, Kathy got a Teflon sheet today, even better. Very cool. Oh, you guys are got military families, very cool. And Dawn, please thank your husband for his service for us. And if there's any other service members on this live, thank you. We love you and appreciate you so very much. Okay. So I was just using that center line that I created with when I bent everything in half. And I'm kind of looking around to make sure that the outsides of my letters are about the same. So I'm checking that this distance is approximately the same as this distance and that nothing is running into each other top to bottom and all that kind of good stuff. So once I think everything looks good and even, next I'll tack this next layer for another 5 seconds. But as you can see, we now have these areas that don't have any carrier sheet. So that's why it's important to start using that Teflon sheet to keep from getting anything over on our heat press. And typically, I haven't figured out, I guess I can do it with this one. I need a little bit of a bigger Teflon sheet to put magnets on the sides of my heat press. Because if you guys have ever watched me with my Mint heat press, I use magnets and attach the Teflon sheet to the top of the press. So I never even have to remember to, add it on. So now we'll just do another 5 seconds. And now that we are getting to the third and final layer of our design, the next time that we press, we will press for the full 15 seconds and make sure that all the HTV gets all of the heat and everything that it needs. But you definitely can overheat your HTV. It can definitely happen, and it's not as hard to do as you would think it is. So we're gonna make sure that we don't do that by just tacking for 5 seconds. This is another great piece of carrier sheet to save for a future pattern project. So I'll stick this also to my carrier sheet piece. Okay. Bye, Tia. We'll see you soon. Oh, yes, Kathy, this is super not scary. I know that as a newbie, it can be a little frightening to make your first shirt. You're afraid to mess it up, but honestly, the very worst thing that can happen is you messed up a shirt that maybe cost you, $5 or $6. And I do recommend that you go on the cheaper side when you're just getting started. My favorite places to buy shirts that is not online, if you want to buy something like quick and easy, is either Walmart or Target. I like both of their shirts. You'll just want to pay attention to the type of fabric that they're made of, but get something super cheap to experiment with, because you're definitely going to make mistakes and you're definitely going to mess things up. So the cheaper stuff that you have to practice with, the better. Much better. All right, so now that we have this final layer on top here, we have our design all layered in place. Like I said, we're gonna do a press for the full 15 seconds. And again, we're still at 290 degrees. So nothing has changed there. Now, if you do have different types of HTV that have vastly different temperatures, I usually create an average in the middle and I'll press at that same temperature the whole time. But if there is a huge, huge difference, then you can adjust the temperature for each press. But ultimately, I don't take it quite that literally personally, and I've never had any issues doing that. So that works, that works well for me. So I'm just gonna lower that lever and we'll press for the full 15 seconds. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're pressing Glitter HTV and Starcraft Softflex in the same design. Well, Glitter HTV presses at 320 degrees. Hang on, this is gonna be done. Okay. So, hold on. I'll talk about my, my Glitter HTV and Softflex scenario I was just giving you. So let's say that we're pressing Glitter HTV and Softflex in the same project. Glitter HTV applies at 320 degrees and Softflex applies at 285 degrees. So that's a pretty substantial difference, right? So if I were doing that, I would probably press the whole project at 305. So I don't know if the math is exactly perfect there, because that would be 15 plus 20. So that's a difference of 35 degrees. So I would press the whole design at 305 the whole time, and that would be sufficient. So I think sometimes, especially as new crafters, we're really bad about like completely splitting hairs and completely wanting to have everything perfect. But it's really not that serious. You know what I mean? Like, it's not brain surgery. We want to try to get it right the best that we can, but we don't want to overthink it so much that it's no longer any fun. So try a few things and experiment a little bit, and you'll find out if it doesn't work, because stuff will peel in the wash or it won't stick in the first place. Awesome. Hey guys. Oh, is Mr. Crafty Pants here? Hey, Michael. Thanks. I knew you would like this Gryffindor shirt. I actually bought it for Universal. Very cool. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you like it. Love all the military families here today. How cool. Thank you guys all for your service. So amazing. I do have a Cricut press. We can talk about that in just a second. Kathy said, it would be cool if you could layer on top of pattern vinyl when I use the other sheet I got today. So I'd love to know if I can. So Kathy, I would not recommend layering on top of printed pattern vinyl. And I'm gonna go ahead and peel this now. So I'll go ahead and turn you guys overhead so you can see. Here's what our shirt finally looks like. We'll peel this off. So because the patterns are printed directly on top of printed pattern HTV, we don't recommend necessarily layering on top. The way that, that this is on top of a Softflex layer is fine, but it being the top layer is really the best way to do it. That's what I would recommend since things are printed directly on top. So here's what our shirt looks like. I am so in love with this. I think this turned out so fun. And I love how the cow pattern, if you look closely at it, you can tell that it's a cow pattern, but kind of like we discussed, it really kind of looks more like a snow leopard pattern, in all honesty. And I am totally on board with that. And also truly bless this hot mess because, you guys saw if you were here earlier that I had to do a second part to this stream, and it was a bit of a hot mess. So this is definitely accurate for today. Love it. Yes, and that's a great point, Renee. You also can slice, so you don't necessarily have to keep everything always in place. You can slice if you want to put the pattern, or if you want the pattern, how do I say this? If you want to layer HTV on top of the pattern, you can always slice out your shape, and that should work really well. Now you are going to experience, anytime you work with HTV, you're going to experience some shrinkage when you go ahead and press it. So it's possible that it may not fit perfectly after you've tacked down that first layer. But if that's good enough for you and you're okay with that, slicing is a great alternative to still get your design where you want it. Yeah, so this is how it turned out. So here's our HTV shirt. So I hope that if you are a beginner, this was super helpful for you, and this taught you a few tips and tricks for making shirts that you really, really like. Because I know that starting with one color, one kind of HTV shirts is probably not quite as exciting. So I'm glad that we could talk through how to make a shirt in a really easy way, but also involve multiple types of HTV. But we are not done just yet, because if you got a Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box, then you already know that there is a t-shirt contest going on that starts today. So I want to talk a little bit about that before we finish up. Oh, love that. I'm so glad you guys love the pattern. Oh, so good. Okay, so let's talk about this t-shirt contest. And if you got a Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box, in the opening letter, it talks about it right here. So you can go ahead and read this yourself if you want to see all the details. But basically, this is how it works, okay? So what you could win, there are going to be 4 winners, and each of those winners is going to win a $25 gift card to 143 Vinyl to buy whatever craft supplies your little heart desires, which is amazing. So fun, and it's honestly so easy to do this. So what we want you to do is we want you to create a t-shirt using the SVGs and the HTV from the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box. Now, how creative you go with that is totally up to you, but ideally you would use the SVGs and the HTV. If you don't want to use the SVGs, then definitely use the HTV so that we know that it's from the Spring Farmhouse Mystery Box, okay? So step 1 is to create your shirt. And then step 2 is to take a picture of that shirt. You do not have to be in the picture if you don't want to. And you have to post that picture to your Facebook page. Facebook is the only platform that we are doing the contest on. So even if you don't have a Facebook page, create one and post your shirt to your Facebook page. And here's a couple things that it has to have on the post in order to enter in the contest. First of all, the privacy has to be set to public. So we have to be able to see it even if we're not friends with you. So set that privacy to public. And then in your post, you have to have 2 hashtags. You have to have hashtag DIY Alex and hashtag 143 Vinyl. So both of those hashtags, and as you're typing them, you'll see that you've done it correctly because the hashtags should turn like blue or they'll be highlighted. Like as you type them, they're all gonna look good together. The key to hashtags is that you don't wanna put any spaces between your letters or the hashtag. So it's literally like the pound sign and then no space, DIYALEX. Like no spaces, no capitals, squish them all together and you should get the right hashtags. And then once you post that, it has to be posted by next Friday, which is Friday, April 22nd. And then the following Tuesday, the 143 Vinyl team is going to gather all of the posts. They're going to vote on their favorites, and they are going to contact you via Facebook Messenger to announce the 4 winners or to let you know that you've won and to give you your $25 gift certificate. So I would love to have you guys participate if you want to. Of course, it's optional, but I mean, who doesn't want to win $25 to 143 Vinyl for free? I mean, how awesome is that? So that's how the contest works. And like I said, everything is detailed in the letter. So if you want to go check that out, then be sure to do so. So unfortunately, Jennifer, the contest is only running on Facebook. So I recommend creating a free Facebook page if you want to participate in the contest. Oh, love it. Val said, I'm going to try this for the girls' Mamma Mia Bachelorette weekend. I love blue glitter. How fun is that? That is awesome. Phil, you're so excited. I'm so excited for you. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. Yes, of course, Terry, you can make the shirt on your own. Absolutely. All of the materials, if you didn't get a mystery box, all of the materials are linked in the description of the video. And all the SVGs are only for those who purchase the mystery box. So if you got a mystery box, then you have a URL that you need to type in to download all of your free SVGs. Yay, you guys, this was so much fun. And also, thank you for sticking with me after all of the craziness. We had to start a second live, but you know what? We made it. We made it this time. Super cool. Oh, welcome. See if I can pronounce your name. Carl Yvette Castro Connor. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, good. Cindy just posted hers. Even better. Yes, Kathy, absolutely. I would definitely make your shirt this weekend. You got plenty of time. That's great. Good deal. And so now that we're done with all that stuff, I'm going to make a shameless plug for DIY Alex. If you haven't already, please make sure that you click the subscribe button. And if you don't see the button, make sure that you are logged into your free Google account. That's how you can subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and comment actually on the video itself also if you want some extra brownie points. You don't really win anything, but extra comments and likes definitely lets YouTube know that you love this video and that you learned so much, and it'll help YouTube show it to other people. So I'd love to have you do that. If you want to be able to post all your creations, especially from the mystery box, I would love to see them in my Facebook group and in the 143 Vinyl Facebook group. So I have both my Facebook groups linked in the description of the video. So if you haven't already joined those, I would love to have you over there. You rock, Pamela. Thanks for hanging out with me. Yes, Terry, yes. You can add extra stuff to the SVG file, or you can add in other types of HTV to your shirt. Yes, 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 for sure. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's true. Good call, Kristen. So if you guys are not familiar with Sydney from Tastefully Frugal, Sydney is amazing, and she goes live. She's been consistently going live every Friday evening, and she's going to be using one of the patterns from the box in her project tonight. So if you guys have not already liked her Facebook page, go like it, because I think she goes live on Facebook, right, Kristen? I think that's where she goes live. Maybe her YouTube channel also. I'm not sure. But if you type in Tastefully Frugal, then you'll find her on Facebook. She's going to be going live and using one of the patterns from the box. So that'll be another cool way to get some ideas of how to use them. Awesome, awesome, guys. Oh, okay. So doggy. I think I said that right. So unfortunately, the box is already sold out. I posted a couple videos about it on my YouTube channel and on my social media platforms, but the box has already been sold out. So I'm so sorry if you missed it. But the nice thing is that these patterns are going to be released in the next couple of weeks on 143vinyl.com. So I can't hook you up with all of the stuff from the box, but we can hook you up with the patterns here in the next couple of weeks. So just hang tight, stay tuned, because they are going to be released really, really soon. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you subscribed and that you're around. Love it. Love it, love it. Oh, you guys want the link for Sydney maybe? Is that what you're asking for? I know you said you want a link. Okay, she switched to YouTube. Okay, give me just a second. I will grab my computer and I'll get you guys the link to Tastefully Frugal real quick. And then we will finish up. How fun has this been, you guys? It's by far the best way to spend a Friday. All right, well, we're gonna mess up all of our pretty angles and all that kind of stuff, but that's okay. Sometimes you just gotta get it done, you know? All right, let's see if we can find Sydney here. Tastefully Frugal. No? Okay. Let me see how she's got her YouTube channel, her URL named, and I will drop that link for you guys in the comments. There she is. Okay. So here is Tastefully Frugal. If you guys want to check her out on YouTube. And yes, I believe it's 7 p.m. Eastern time, which would make it 6 p.m. Central. So definitely make sure to go join her, which actually, yeah, is not in too long from now. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think that's all I've got for you. Here's a last look at the shirt as we are wrapping up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I love and appreciate you so very much. I hope that you learned a ton in this live and you've had fun with your mystery box so far. All right, guys, so the next live, I think, is Tuesday. You'll have to check your schedule in the mystery box, but I believe it's Tuesday for our next project. So I love you guys, and